Welcome to the Modern Languages department. Today we're going to talk about why learning a language is so important. Firstly, being able to speak a language fluently really does set you apart from other people. We increasingly live in a global market, and being able to communicate with people all over the world is an excellent skill to have. Universities really value A-level languages, so much so that you sometimes can get a place at a Russell Group university with lower grades, as they are so keen to have language students. Learning a language is excellent for improving your self-confidence too, as you will have ample opportunities to speak in the language using our language laboratories. So why choose us to study a language? We're a very well-established department here at college with excellent facilities. We have 2 language labs. One is used mostly for listening and oral work. The other lab is a video lab, so in here you can also watch video clips. You also work on grammar and vocab exercises online. In addition to all this, students have weekly small group conversation classes, usually of 3 or 4 students with a native conversation teacher. In conversation, you will talk about a variety of topics and also prepare for the oral exam. We also have a media administrator who selects and edits video clips. In Year 13, you will watch the foreign news as part of your independent study and write a summary of this, which is an excellent employability skill. We hope that during your time with us, you might also be able to spend time abroad, either as part of our exchange visits to France and Germany, or by doing work experience in France, Germany or Spain via an agency. Now, a little bit about the course. In all 3 subjects, the focus is on learning the language through the culture and society of the country. The best way to learn a language is to really absorb yourself in the language and culture of the countries where this language is spoken. So watching films in French, German and Spanish, listening to the pop or rap music of Spain, Latin America, France, Africa, Germany or Austria is really helpful in developing your language skills. Reading newspapers, browsing websites, eventually reading books in the language all help to improve your language skills and will form a vital part of doing an A-level in a language. A bit about assessment now. The exam board for French, German and Spanish is EDUCAS. When you take the A-level at the end of the course, you will have 3 exams. First of all, you will do the oral exam. This will consist of a project that you have prepared independently on any subject relating to the society or culture of the countries where your language is spoken. Students really enjoy this aspect of the course and might choose to talk about a wide range of subjects such as the role of women in Spain, Mozart's musical legacy and his contribution to the German-speaking world, or the vegan movement in France. The choice is yours. You will also discuss a text relating to a topic studied during the course. There are also 2 written papers. One includes listening and reading comprehension plus translation exercises. The final paper is an essay paper. During the course, you will study a film and a book and will write an essay in the foreign language on each of these. Here is a slide showing you the general college entry requirements, which are 2 GCSEs at grade 6 or above and 3 further GCSEs at grade 4 or above, including a grade 4 in GCSE English Language and Maths. In addition, we require at least a 5 in French, German or Spanish, although many of our students have at least a 6. Many of our students have gone on to study languages in university and have careers using their languages now, perhaps working in business, translation or interpreting. One former student is Laura, who after doing a degree in French and German at Nottingham University is now an area manager with the German supermarket chain Aldi. Laura believes that studying languages is a stepping stone to the beginning of a successful career for her. Another former student is Esther, who studied French and Spanish at college and went on to study these 2 languages at Cambridge University. The slide here shows a photo of Esther on her year abroad in Spain. Doing a year abroad as part of your degree course is great fun and increases your confidence for the job market. If you would like to apply to college, please go to solihullsfc.ac.uk/applying and follow the instructions there. We will confirm receipt of your application within 2 weeks. You will then be invited into college for an interview. We will now respond to your questions. Okay. Hello, my name's Beverly Hodson and I teach French here at the Department of Modern Languages at Solihull Sixth Form College. And my colleague is here with me, Deborah Snell-Ross, who also teaches German. So we're very happy to answer your questions now. You should see a little symbol on your screen for chat. I'm sure you're familiar with that now. If you've got any questions then, if you'd like to type those into the chat box. Also, it would be really helpful, we know we've got a few attendees, if you would mind just typing which language you're interested in particular. So Deborah and I can also tell you about Spanish. As we mentioned in that session, in that little PowerPoint, we mentioned that we do EDUCAS as the exam board, and so I teach French, Deborah teaches German, and so it's very similar for Spanish, so we can answer your questions. So if you just want to pop any questions into the chat or put, sort of let us know which languages you're interested in, that would be helpful. So I'll just pause a moment for you to do that.
Beverly, we've got a question has come in asking why a class size is so small.
Okay. Well, it's basically because we have language laboratories here at college that will seat a certain number of students, and also because languages tend to be smaller, sort of subject areas, so we don't necessarily have huge classes of 25. They do vary tremendously though. I've currently got 14 in my year 13 French class, and 12 in my year 12 French class, but previously you could have up to about 20. I think Carolina has got about 19 in her year 12 Spanish class. But certainly we feel when you're learning a language, you don't want to be in a huge class. I think, sort of anything more than 20 would be quite difficult when you're trying to use the language as much as possible. So it's partly to do with the size of the language laboratory, because we do use our language labs quite a lot, partly because we're trying to do lots of small group conversation, and sort of absolutely huge numbers would be an issue for that. But yes, we're obviously a small subject. We usually have one class in each year for each of the languages, although occasionally we've had 2 French classes or 2 Spanish classes. If we've gone much over 20, we've been able to divide them up into 2 classes. I hope that answers that question.
Yes, and we've just got another question that's come in. I'm interested in both doing A-level French and Spanish. French is my home language. Is it possible to do both of them at the same time?
Yeah, good question. Yes, it is. It's good to have 2 languages. Languages are very much status subjects. They're facilitating subjects. They have a lot of prestige. It's considered, they're all considered good subjects to have at A-level. In the past, it was very common for students to do 2 languages at A-level. Unfortunately, that's not the case anymore, and that's partly because students don't have the opportunity to do 2 languages in schools. So yes, usually we have 1 or 2 students in each year who are doing 2 languages, and it's often if they have 1 language, which is their native language at home. So yes, that's absolutely fine. So I think you said French was your native language. Yeah, that's fine. If you're doing GCSE, then you would just enter via the normal route. If you're not doing GCSE in French, then we would just want to assess your French skills at enrolment. So I'd probably just have a conversation with you in French just to check your spoken French. and I'd probably get you to do a GCSE paper just to check on that, to make sure you know that you have got the equivalent, excuse me, of GCSE level. But if you're doing the GCSE French, then obviously that's fine. So yeah, I think I've got a student in Year 12 at the moment who's doing French with me, and he's also doing Spanish with Carolina, who clearly loves languages, and so it makes a lot of sense for him to be doing 2 languages. If there's anybody listening who would like to be doing 2 languages and feels frustrated they couldn't do 2 at school, don't worry about that, because in the future, if you go to university and want to study languages, you can do any language now from scratch. So say you're doing German at the moment, and you're going to carry on with that at A level. If you want to carry on studying German at university, you could combine that with French or Spanish or Russian, or more or less any language. So yeah, there's all sorts of routes now to carrying on with your languages. But yeah, we're very happy for students to do 2 languages at A level. That's absolutely fine.
Thanks, Beverly. I'll take the next question, because just so I can introduce myself and talk about trips. We've had a question just come in about exchange projects. Do you get to study there for a while? How does it work? So hello, my name is Deborah, and I teach German. So yeah, with the trips, we have a number of trips that we offer. Obviously, COVID has made that much more limited over the last couple of years. So in normal circumstances, we do have exchanges to France and to Germany. They take place in alternate years. So if you do 2 languages, you can do one year and the other the next year. But they're open to both year groups at any time. We also encourage students to do work experience abroad. But we don't organise it ourselves. We would put you in touch with a company that sorts that out for you, and a lot of students have done work experience in France, Germany and Spain and really enjoyed it, done that for a week. So with these trips, with the exchanges, you would stay in a host family and with a fellow student who is the same age as you, and you'd be going to school together, and we teachers would be with you as well. With the work experience, you would go with a kind of guide, somebody who works for the company, somebody who's available at all times for you, but you often stay in a youth hostel. I think there are some options to stay with families as well, with host families. We also have a fund called the Roger Coombs Fund, which we can make available for students who organise something independently, and this might be going to a language school for a week, or it might be doing some voluntary work for a week. So there's this opportunity as well. We also organise some events in sort of locally. And also so for example, we've taken students to the Cambridge Open Day. We've taken them to a day on languages at HE at Aston University. And we're currently, because we can't get abroad at the moment, we're currently organising a trip to London to go to the Tate Modern to see some European art, and also to go to Borough Market to taste some of the international food that's on offer there. So we try and get you out of the classroom as well. So hopefully that answers the question about the trips and exchange projects. I don't think we haven't had any new questions come in for a while. So Beverly, should I play the other clip? We've got another clip to share with you. It's only a couple of minutes long. It's some of our students talking in French, German and Spanish. And you get a little glimpse of our language labs as well. So I'll share this video with you, and then again, if there's any more questions that you would like to ask, do send them in. So just bear with me while I get this over onto your screens and start it.
Quelles sont les causes de la guerre d'Algérie? Une cause à long terme est le ressentiment croissant des Algériens envers la domination coloniale. Certains soutiennent que la fin de la Seconde Guerre mondiale peut être considérée comme une cause directe de la guerre d'Algérie. Le refus de la France de négocier de quelque manière, que ce soit avec le mouvement algérien, a entraîné une escalade de la guerre.
Décris-moi de la relation entre les deux pays aujourd'hui.
Malgré son histoire, l'Algérie et la France partagent une relation longue et historiquement riche. Aujourd'hui, leur relation est diplomatique et économique. Il y a aussi des relations culturelles. Par exemple, plusieurs universités algériennes sont jumelées à des universités françaises.
Die Heidelberger Universität wurde 1386 gegründet und ist das älteste Universität in Deutschland. Es gibt viele verschiedene Nationalitäten an der Universität aus über 130 Ländern. Heidelberg blieb im Zweiten Weltkrieg von den Zerstörungen verschont.
Heidelbergs Bundesland ist Baden-Württemberg und die Reisenbezirk ist Karlsruhe. Heidelbergs Höhe ist ungefähr 814 Meter hoch und die Fläche beträgt 108 Quadratmeter. Heidelberg hat eine Bevölkerung von ungefähr 160.000 Leuten. 39% davon sind junge Leute und 16% sind über 65 Jahre alt.
Hola, me llamo Ayun Iqbal y soy un estudiante en Solihull Sixth Form College y estudio español, química y biología. Me gustan mucho mis estudios de español porque aprendemos sobre la cultura española y también aprendemos sobre programas como Gran Hermano y me gustan mucho mis estudios y gracias.
Me llamo Max, vivo en Birmingham, tengo 16 años. Estoy estudiando inglés, español y dibujo y me gusta mi colegio nuevo.
Sí, hola, me llamo Nur y tengo 16 años y estoy estudiando química, mates y el español y me gusta dibujar en mi tiempo libre.
Okay, so I hope you enjoyed that little clip then, and we've just had a question asking if students are fluent after 2 years. So hopefully you saw in that clip that students in both years 12 and 13 were already starting to really develop their oral skills. The first group you saw were a group of year 13 French students. There were a group of 10 of them last year, and I can honestly say, yes, all 10 of those students were fluent in French by the time they finished. I guess there are degrees of fluency, aren't there? But what I mean by that is they could happily go and live and work in France. Obviously, by living and working in France, you will become even more fluent. But yes, and I hope if you remember the little video clip at the beginning, the two girls interviewing each other, they're practicing for their French A-level oral, and they were talking on quite complex issues there, and that shows the journey, if you like. And then the other two groups, the German and the Spanish group that you saw, were actually year 12 students. And they were beginning to develop their fluency. So yes, I think you just get more and more fluent, basically. And I think if you talk to any of our students about how confident they feel about speaking a language at the end compared with how they did at the beginning, I think they would all speak really, really positively. The little video clip that we just watched is part of a longer clip. If you go onto the website, they address that issue. I think some of the students talk about how they felt when they first came to college and how they did at the end. So I think it's about 15 minutes altogether. So after this session, you could find that and listen to what the students say, because at the end of the day, it's always important to talk to people who've had that experience. Those young people who have recently gone on that 2-year course. But yes, I think students are very confident orally, and we get very good results in modern languages. You can find our modern language results if you go onto the website. The vast majority of our students, the oral component is the strongest element of the three components. So clearly students are very confident by the end, and obviously if you're learning a language, the most important thing we feel is that you're able to speak it. So yes, I think you can be confident that after 2 years you would really be very fluent.
Thanks, Beverly. No, we haven't had any new questions, but perhaps would you like to say something about transition? That's often one of our common questions.
Yes, of course. Some students, certainly when we do our open days and open evenings in person, the question that we're usually asked most often is the gap quite big between GCSE and A-level? And of course there is a gap. There is a gap for all subjects between GCSE and A-level, because otherwise there wouldn't be any point you coming to do A-levels. But I hope it's a sort of measured transition. So the first half term at college, we really try and build upon the grammar perhaps that you've done at GCSE and build up your vocabulary. And so, yes, of course, you know, you're going from GCSE to A-level, but we do it in a gradual way. And I think you just get better and better at the language. So, you know, don't worry if you think, oh, I didn't do much grammar, haven't done that much grammar at school, and I've heard there's lots of grammar at A-level. We will cover all the GCSE grammar and go into more depth and introduce the new A-level grammar gradually. If you're worried listening to people speak, think, oh, I don't speak like that. You don't need to speak like that yet. You know, you'll gradually get better. And so basically, we will practice with you. It's not the sort of subject where you're going to come and spend all your time making notes. It's very much a subject where you're involved. So you're often in language labs with a computer screen in front of you. You might be watching a clip that you're listening to. You might be doing some vocabulary exercises. We use Quizlet quite a lot to get students to expand their vocabulary. You might be doing grammar exercises online. A lot of the time we're getting students to talk to another student in the class through the headphones, so they practice their skills. And so it is a gradual sort of progress. You know, we don't expect you to sort of be at that standard that we saw some of those students at the start of the course. We move there gradually. And I think students, a lot of students usually say they like the positive learning culture in our department. They like the fact that it's quite a small department, and we do lots of things like in year 12 and year 13, you can come along to use our language labs in the lunch hour and do something called guided study, and students get to know each other a little bit from other languages as well. So obviously there is a gap between GCSE and A-level, but it's we gradually sort of go from GCSE to A-level. So anything else?
Yeah, there is a question. Is it possible to do more than 2 A-level languages?
I think it's possible. It's probably not desirable. If you wanted to do 3 languages, you'd have to have studied French, German and Spanish at GCSE, or you'd have to have native speaker equivalent. So I think it's very unlikely that there'd be anybody in that situation. Remember, you have to have studied all of any of the languages that you want to study here. You have to have studied them at GCSE level or have GCSE equivalent. So it is very unlikely there'd be anybody in that situation. I can think of somebody about 3 or 4 years ago now who did do 3 languages at A level, and basically she had special permission from senior management here because she absolutely knew that she wanted to study languages and she didn't want to do anything else. So I think the college would be very cautious about letting anybody do 3 languages, but I think the question wouldn't arise very often because, you know, very few people are fortunate enough to be able to have had that exposure to 3 languages. So not likely, really. We're happy with 2, but 3 is probably not a good idea. It's probably better to have 2 languages and a 3rd subject to keep your options open a little bit at A level. But if there were to be somebody who was really keen and was in a position, I suppose you might be studying 2 languages at the moment and have native speaker background in a 3rd, then certainly contact us and we would talk to the college about it and talk to you about it.
Thanks, Beverly. And there's a nice follow-on question from that, really. What are the language enrichments?
Okay, so we have just one language enrichment at the moment, and that is Spanish. The college has a timetable, and there's 1 slot a week that's just for enrichment. It's currently on a Wednesday, and you can do Spanish then. And it's basically Spanish for fun. So the emphasis is on speaking in class and learning some vocabulary, so that if you go to Spain on holiday, you could make yourself understood. It's a lot of fun. So yes, you can do Spanish and enrichment. So if you're doing German A level or French A level, then certainly why not consider doing the Spanish enrichment alongside that. So you wouldn't get a qualification, but it is fun, and it would be a good thing then if you apply to university, you could put in your personal statement that you're learning Spanish from scratch. And also, if you were studying French or German at the moment, and you wanted to do another language at university, and you do the Spanish enrichment course, then that would be a nice little taster for going to university and then starting Spanish at degree level. So yes, there is that opportunity for Spanish.
Thanks, Beverly. I think just one question has just come in. Oh yeah, no, I think this is one. I think where I'm just in the background now with Arabic and French. So I think, yeah, we've just got a discussion going. I think it's the student who's asked about the 3 languages. So I think you're saying if you've got Arabic, French, and Spanish GCSE. So if you yes, if that's what you're saying, if you've got Arabic, French, and Spanish GCSE, you can do French and Spanish A level. But unfortunately, we don't have any opportunities for Arabic. That you would have to look into externally. Other than that, Beverly, I think we're close to our finishing time. So I don't think there are any final questions. So I think, shall we end the event?
Yeah. Well, thank you very much for attending and for those very interesting questions. If you think of any more afterwards, then you can email either of us. You can find contact details or just email admissions and they would pass your queries on to us. Do have a little look at some of our previous videos on the website. As I say, there is that really nice video of students last year in much more detail. We just showed you a couple of minutes there, but it's much longer. So if you want to sort of see what the classrooms really look like, then you can do that. And obviously, hopefully, you'll be able to come into college at some time as well. And there'll be that opportunity in the summer to come with a parent and have a guided tour of going around the college in the summer. So you can come up then and have a look at our language labs then. So thank you. And do you want to say anything more, Deborah?
No, I think that's fine. Just thank you very much as well for attending.
Okay, so bon courage, good luck with the GCSEs. Bye-bye. Bye.